Things aren't looking great for our favorite GOP hopefuls, with Kari Lake and Boebert seemingly addressing empty rooms while campaigning. First, Kari Lake was photographed at a campaign event speaking to several empty chairs and one man who seemed distracted. And yes, it's a picture. It should be taken with a grain of salt. I don't know when the picture was taken. Maybe it was taken just prior to the event actually starting. Maybe there were more people in the room just out of frame. Who knows? But it's not a good look for Kari Lake, the metaphorical basket in which Republicans have placed all of their metaphorical eggs. They are desperate to win the Arizona Senate seat, which will be left vacant once Kyrsten Sinema's term is up. But unfortunately for the Republicans, Kari Lake is the candidate they got stuck with. She is so unpopular that even Republicans have a hard time finding good or nice things to say about her. She can't even catch a break on Fox News. Lauren Wright, a Princeton research scholar, said on Fox News that a Senate victory for Lake was unlikely. During the segment, she alluded to, quote, Trump-aligned candidates who are more extreme than the state is. When asked for clarification as to who she was talking about, she said, quote, you have states like Arizona where Kari Lake is still denying the 2020 election.
But then you have states like Arizona where Kari Lake is still denying the 2020 election. She'll very likely be the nominee. And that's maybe a state that Democrats will end up getting, and Republicans in any other election year with any other candidate at the top of the ticket and in the Senate place should win that state.
Wright was making the point that swing voters specifically are not impressed with the kind of tactics or shenanigans that people like Kari Lake tend to employ, and she asserted that if the Republicans are unable to win the Arizona Senate seat, it will be because of Kari Lake. Still, Kari's not giving up. In fact, she is planning to fight even harder because that's what she does. Lake's campaign is planning to spend $10 million in ads. Her opponent, Ruben Gallego, has already been outspending Lake, with his campaign focused on the abortion issue and Lake's campaign focusing on immigration. And then we have Boebert, who was seen speaking to a room of maybe 10 people in Colorado. Some of those people may have been journalists, maybe it was intended to be a more private event, but either way, it was a dismal turnout for someone running one of the most watched races of 2024. In the clip, we hear an older gentleman asking Boebert a question in which he says that quote-unquote Democrat operatives are condemning her for voting against the infrastructure bill that she is now taking credit for.
I see so many pretty much Democrat operatives condemning you for voting against.
I guess that guy doesn't have a problem with people taking credit for things they didn't do, especially without good reason. But that man also thinks that people pointing out very basic and obvious and provable facts are Democrat operatives. And if I am one of those Democrat operatives, please show me the money. I don't get paid enough to be an operative of any kind for anyone. The worldview of these Trumpy voters is very unsettling. According to them, everything is a conspiracy. Who can keep up? Anyway, according to polling, Boebert is lagging behind one of her Democratic challengers, Ike McCorkle, by double digits, with McCorkle leading Boebert 41% to 27%. That leaves about 1/3 of voters saying that they were still somehow undecided. The poll, by the way, was conducted by the McCorkle campaign, so as with everything, especially polling, take those results with a grain of salt. However, reporting from CBS Colorado confirms that a lot of District 4 voters have mixed feelings about Boebert. This isn't a great sign for Boebert as she heads into the June primary. Supporters of Boebert seem to like her because of her loyalty to Trump and to the MAGA/America First agenda. One Republican voter simply said, quote, I don't like her. He explained further, saying, quote, just her behavior. I'm a person that believes you should behave appropriately when in elected office, no matter the party, no matter the person. And I don't think she fulfills that role. I will vote for someone else. It just goes to show that you never know what the death knell will be for people because of all the reasons to not vote for Boebert. That's arguably not the most significant. Another Republican voter admitted to having mixed feelings about Boebert, but ultimately said, quote, whoever runs as the Republican will get our vote. And honestly, speaking anecdotally, I think that's just what it comes down to for most people. It's a big step for people to jump parties. It's almost akin to switching religions for people because a lot of times the party you align yourself with is the party you've been associating with on the most fundamental level of your being for years. Whether or not that should be the case is another story, but switching political parties often requires someone to examine their own personal belief and value systems, as well as what they're willing to tolerate or sacrifice. It can even mean alienating oneself from family members or coworkers and friends. It's a big deal to ask a very convicted person to switch political parties, which is why these elections tend to focus on those who are less convicted, those less quote-unquote political people. They're the ones, the ironically less political ones, who are the most important and relevant voters. But in other quick news before we wrap up, Boebert, who was already seen as being too much drama, is in hot water again for hitting back at Pete Buttigieg after he criticized her, along with the other Democrat operatives, for taking credit for the infrastructure bill that she voted against. She responded by insulting the transportation secretary personally. She tweeted, quote, "Mayor Pete, maybe you were out chest feeding and missed my letter, but I personally wrote you about this in June 2022. Critics are saying that the chest-feeding comment is homophobic. I would consider myself one of those critics, and its inclusion in the tweet detracts from whatever message she was trying to convey regarding infrastructure spending. Whether or not a comment like that matters to her potential voters is yet to be seen. Some of them are over her drama and have been for a long time, but others like that she's feisty. Fun fact though, you can be feisty without also being homophobic. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out my podcast, Modern Context. Thanks.